Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the DENTAA Show live. It is Sunday. It's Sunday evening in Ghana, and we are bringing you another great conversation. As you know, this show is brought to you by World Remit, a better way to send money. Make sure that wherever you are, if you're sending money to the continent, make sure that you use World Remit, and that's a must. Okay, so today we are talking about investing beyond the borders, properties in Dubai. I know that a lot of people have messaged me and they're like, look, DENTAA, I have been waiting for this show. Last week, unfortunately, I was stuck in Italy. And guess what, guys? I nearly got arrested. Yes, can you imagine? I nearly got arrested in Dubai. Not in Dubai, in Italy, because I didn't have my ID. I didn't have my passport with me. So I took the train to go and see a friend in Milan. Took the train. It was fine. Got my ticket. On my way back, Milan, soldiers and police were there, and they were just like, where's your ID before you jump on the train? I was like, oh, my ID is at my hotel, in my bag, in my hotel room. They're like, sorry, you can't go. It's against the law not to have your ID with you in Italy. I was like, oh my God. We started begging, pleading for a whole 45 minutes. This man was just not allowing us. And this amazing Italian woman was just like, go. And we were like, yes, thank you. Started running before anybody changes their mind. So guys, listen, if you ever go to Italy, make sure that you carry your ID with you, because trust me, DENTAA nearly got arrested in Italy, and it was not nice. Okay, so I know, like I said, you guys have been waiting for this show. You've been looking forward to how you can invest. You know, DENTAA Show, as you know, I'm always promoting buying things in Africa, buying things in Ghana especially, and promoting Ghana. But I think that as individuals, as business people, we need to think about investing across the borders, you know, and thinking of, you know, how do we invest in other places as well? Not just, you know, in the motherland, which is extremely important. So I have amazing people that are going to be joining me today. I have FATMA, HASHIM, and I have Bldg. I hope I've said it right. They are my newfound brothers and sisters who are across in Dubai. And really the conversation is about, you know, why should we invest in Dubai? What are the benefits? What are the house prices? And they are part of Driven Properties, a large property firm. They deal with different things. And for me, it's going to be a great conversation where we can really dive into, you know, the reasons why. They do property, they do rentals, they have property advisory, property investment, property valuation, commercial, real estate development, industrial, the whole works. And so I'm going to speak to, first of all, FATMA. Let me bring FATMA on. Oh, but before I bring FATMA on, I need to say a big thank you to Vesta London Beauty for my lip glaze. Thank you so much, Vesta. Guys, if you want a really nice lip glaze, make sure that you go online and purchase that. Again, if you're looking for that shito, the shito I've been telling you guys about, yeah, that sauce is the best sauce ever. Make sure that you go to prodigyfoods.co and buy some. She also does fufu mix and benku mix as well now, guys. So make sure that you go online and you do that. And like I said, always visit the World Remit to send money back home to Ghana. So let me welcome on stage. And we also have Matthew Mensah, who will be joining us as well. My brother, who's he lives in SA, but now has transitioned to Ghana, and hopefully he's going to stay here forever and ever. But we'll see, and we'll have that conversation with him and see whether he's actually going to stay with us for longer. So again, let me introduce FATMA on here. Hi, FATMA.
Hi, DENTAA. How are you?
I'm good, sis. How are you?
Very good. Very happy that you're safe and back.
Yeah. And then obviously, you know, when we were coming down from Italy, then we had the bad news about our ex-president, which has been, so it's been quite an emotional week, to be honest.
Yes.
I'm glad to have you on.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to have, you know, Abdullah's backstage, and so is Matthew. But first of all, just tell us a bit about yourself and what you do and how you got to, tell us about the company Driven Properties.
Okay. Well, about myself, I'm originally Somali, Kenyan by birth, and lived in Dubai for the last 12 years. Always been in real estate since the beginning.
Wow.
Driven Properties, we started over 8 years ago. And our background mainly is always brokerage, our core services. But it was always important for us to kind of cement our services throughout the property journey, not just selling the properties, but also being able to help our clients with when they want to rent it for them, when they want to manage it for them, if they're abroad, especially. And then we also open holiday homes. So it's, you know how holiday homes are very popular in Dubai area. Sorry, is there a problem with the? Okay. So Dubai is very touristic. So there's a lot of holiday makers coming to Dubai and visiting here. So tourism is a big aspect of the Dubai economy. So we open a holiday home division. So part of our properties, you can put not only on long-term rental, but also on holiday home and get your rent on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And then maybe parts of the year be able to visit Dubai and stay in your property during that time. We also do furnishing, which is interior design. And most recently, we've been doing a lot of international, which is basically helping our international investors, whether in Ghana, whether in other parts of Africa, as well as we've been doing it in China and Europe, and helping them find the right type of investments here in Dubai and diversify their portfolio. I was in Ghana last year, towards the end of last year. It's very beautiful, but we get a lot of demand from people who want to obviously at the same time, yes, invest, but also diversify their portfolio internationally, as you so well said before.
Absolutely. So what is the investing landscape like in Dubai currently, especially due to the pandemic?
Okay, that's a very good question. So all over the past, obviously during the pandemic, we did have a lot of changes that happened. So, but when you look at, a lot of people compare it to the 2008 global financial crisis, and it was much softer than that for sure. But during the lockdown, which was April and May, there was a good drop in obviously property transactions because obviously there was no movement happening. However, we did see a sort of bottleneck demand coming in, and after the lockdown was over and people were able to move around freely within Dubai. So in June, we saw kind of only, if you compare it to the same period last year in 2019, we only saw a 17% drop in property transactions, which is pretty good. And then during the summer in Dubai, usually people leave and they go abroad and they go to Europe, they'll go to other areas, which is obviously attractive during the summer where it's quite hot in Dubai. But this year, because of the pandemic, a lot of people, because of it wasn't so easy to travel, and Dubai was quite open compared to other countries in Europe, for example, people decided to stay here. So obviously that increased the type of transactions that were happening, and airports obviously opened towards the end of the last quarter. And we saw a lot of people being able to come to Dubai and visit here. And at the same time, property transactions obviously increased off the back of that. And now for the last November, personally as a company, the last 2 months have been one of the best months for us in terms of transactions. So that was pretty positive for us. And this is basically due to the UAE government have been very impressive in the way they've handled the virus, from controlling it all the way to treating it, all the way to the recovery. And that has kind of put them on the map for sure.
Fantastic. I think I'm going to invite Abdullah on as well now. Abdullah.
Hello, DENTAA. Very nice to see you again.
You too. How are you?
I am fantastic, and I'm glad you are safe. That story is a horror story about Italy. Now I know what to keep in my wallet, because
Yeah,
I like to travel light. You know, I keep enough cash in my pocket, and that's about enough. Otherwise,
I
no certification.
I know, right? I can see
Yeah,
that
I
you're
also try
cruising.
to keep.
I can see, Abdullah, I can see that you're cruising in my limousine. When you finish, make sure you
I
park
try to
it
keep.
in the garage properly and keep it safe for me.
Absolutely. I even try to keep the phone in the in the hotel room, and just go and tour. But now I know what to keep in my pocket. But great seeing
Abs-
you again, and thank you for
You,
arranging this.
you too, you too. Abdullah, tell us a bit about your role in Driven Properties, and the big question: why is Dubai a great place to invest?
That's a great question, and it's a question that any international investor kind of looks at. My role at Driven, I'm the founder, so I started this company about 8 years ago. I've built a team of fantastic people. Chief amongst those is Fatma over here, who's now our partner, and as well as many great talented people that have built this organization. We're now proudly one of the largest institutions in the UAE when it comes to property, and as Fatma mentioned, we try to ensure that we are across that spectrum of property, from the point of sales all the way to property management and holiday homes, interiors, mortgage consultancy, development advisory, and what have you. So we ensure that we are there, across the entire journey. So why is this a good time for international investors? So and why Dubai and why now, right? This is literally the question we answer
Yeah.
every day. So I'm hoping I'll add some spices to it today, since we have you here, and ensure that we say something a little bit different, a little bit more fun. So. Look, it's Dubai has always been associated with glitz and glamour as a city. But what people don't know is that it is also affordable, especially when it comes to properties. So when we talk about property investment in Dubai, uh, we compare it to global cities such as London, Sydney, Singapore, New York, and the likes. And when you look at Dubai, you look at prime Dubai properties, they trade at a significant discount to its global counterparts. So when if I want to buy a property in super prime Dubai, let's say, and compare that property to a super prime London, we're talking about 1/8 of the price. So what that means is, for the same value, I can buy eight apartments of the same size in Dubai
Oh
versus
wow.
one apartment in London. And that's the same story, more or less, in places like Singapore, Hong Kong, Sydney, and the likes. Um, so and what else is going on for Dubai? A is the currency is pegged to the US dollar, the AED dirham. So since the 1970s, it's been literally flat against the US dollar, and that gives investors a lot of security. Uh, the loan to value, especially even for international investors, you now with the new legislations from the central bank have the opportunity to get up to 50% financing on your property, even though you're not a resident of Dubai. Um, on top of that, you can also now get, because of the interest rate environment, we all know, what the Federal Reserve has done. So because of the interest rates environment, you can get exceptionally cheap loans and mortgages on property, and that made the property market, as Fatma mentioned earlier, transact, and that we started seeing transaction levels pick up in a big way. So long story short, I see this as the way Hong Kong is to mainland China, Dubai is to the entire Middle East, and in fact, it is taking a lot of market share from places like Singapore and Hong Kong now, with the Chinese government putting some clamping down on security issues and financial issues as well. So Dubai has taken advantage of that and opened up more to the world. It is still the #1 trade hub in the world. It is the financial center of the Middle East and one of the biggest financial centers in the world. It is the #1 city in terms of tourism spending globally, and the 4th most visited globally after Bangkok, London, and Paris. And it is the highest. It has the highest population growth. All of that combined,
Wow.
and all of these real factors, economic factors and figures and tangible numbers, and at the same time, I can get a property where I can spend 1/8 of what I buy in London or Hong Kong or Singapore, and meanwhile enjoy a 6% property yield a year. So to me, I'm very biased here, but to me that's it's a no-brainer as an asset class. Even to the point where everyone, as you mentioned earlier in your presentation, DENTAA, everyone wants to diversify away. They want that security. They want to make sure that they have that kind of haven that they can resort to in case something happens, or in case you have geopolitical issues or whatever. But Dubai is so exciting and so interesting that it's difficult to see the value in other places. That's the argument. That's the thesis of why Dubai and why now.
Yeah, no, I think that Dubai, I mean, I've been to Dubai several times, and it is a beautiful place. No one can take that away from, the skyscrapers to the big shopping malls. It's just a wonderful place. I remember when one of our footballers, Assam Wajan, used to play for Al Alin. So I was in Dubai quite a bit because of that, and visited a lot of places in Dubai. But what are some of the laws surrounding purchasing property in Dubai?
Hello? Can't hear you.
Oh, what are some of the laws surrounding purchasing properties in Dubai?
Okay, so firstly, we have different types of ownership, but what we as Driven Properties focus on is freehold ownership. So which means you have 100% ownership of your property. It's inheritable. We can register your will from back home and bring it back over here to DIFC courts and register it, and to be according to your will. At the same time, I think to note is that all the properties, especially when you're looking at off-plan properties for sale, is that the Dubai government has gone into painstaking ways to be able to protect the investors, who are especially mostly from international markets. And the way they've done that primarily is through a setup of escrow accounts. Escrow accounts are set up by the government in the name of the developer, but held by the government. So if in case a property is still off plan and there's a payment plan and the clients are paying towards the property, the money sits in the escrow account, which protects your investment. And the developer would only get access to that money on the day that you would get your keys. And that would be only 90% of the money, and the rest of the money, 10%, would be kept for a year in escrow account by the government until the property is handed, until a year post handover, to ensure any issues that might be in the property. At the same time, also when you're talking about property investment in Dubai, a lot of misconceptions in place in terms of the type of ownership, and we are focused on making sure that we do the homework on behalf of the clients. So our clients are very important to us, and we make sure that the developer or the properties that we're showcasing to them are kind of vetted by us, by our team, before we actually offer those properties to our investors.
So have you been doing virtual property viewing during the lockdown?
virtual's been the name of the game for the past 8 months.
And how's that going? How has that been going in terms of, obviously you can't get the same feel, but
yeah, but what we do, we have 360. A lot of technology's been our friends the last 8 months. So 360 tours, which feel like you're walking through the property, virtual sort of Zoom meetings with the clients, videos, presentations on the site. You know, these type of things we've been doing consistently, especially to our international investors.
okay, fantastic. And let me bring back my boss on.
Yes.
And also bring back Matthew Mensah, who is an ambassador for Ghana Tourism. He's
My
the one.
boy. How are you?
Hi, thank you.
Good to see you.
You too, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Matthew, why do you think it's so important for Ghanaians and Africans to be thinking outside of the borders for investment?
You know, I think that, I mean, luckily for us in Ghana, it's such a stable country. So there's different reasons for different countries. But I think as well, like, you know, we're living in a time now where you want to be able to have access to other territories that is safe as well, that will be able to offer some of the same opportunities that you could get in US or in UK, but without having that the same distance, you know, to travel, like depending on where you are, but also like because it offers so much. For example, like, you know, when you go to Dubai, and especially if you're buying property, that you have an opportunity to not only find a fantastic high quality of living, but also at the same time you will be able to, as Fatima was alluding to before, be able to ensure that it's something that goes within the family, so you can use it for investment opportunity for generations to go on. You can put it into your will, and for me, it's just that, you know, when I've been traveling around in Dubai, and especially when last time when Driven invited me to Dubai, it is just a fantastic place that offers so much. Some of the things that we don't necessarily have in Ghana, but yet, because we are one of the most progressing countries in Africa, but it gives you a lot of added inspiration. And of course, just like Ghana, it's like an extremely safe country. So it offers a lot of things for you to be able to travel to fast, and it's a good investment opportunity just overall.
Thank you so much. Abdullah,
Yep.
are foreigners allowed to legally acquire properties in Dubai?
Well, the short answer and the one answer is yes. So all foreigners of all types are allowed to purchase property in Dubai. There's two types of properties here. One is freehold properties, which is 80% of the land and the areas and the communities that are in Dubai. And there are the non-freehold communities, which are the older, kind of more villa areas that have been there since the 70s. So the non-freehold areas are only for locals and GCC council members. So Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Oman, as well as the Emiratis. And then the freehold ownership is, or freehold areas are basically for everyone, and that's 80% of Dubai effectively. And you, when I say freehold, you own freehold title, so you don't have. It's not a link to a number of years. It's not a 99-year lease. It's not a 999-year virtual freehold. It is an actual freehold of title to that property for life.
Wow, that's amazing. And then tell us about, in terms of citizenship, how much do one have to invest in Dubai to be able to acquire citizenship?
Okay, well, currently there is no a citizenship program per se. However, there is an immigration program that allows you to get a residency in Dubai. So in order for you to get a full-time residency or a 2-year residency that will always stay with you, you need to invest 1 million dirhams in a property. That's the equivalent of about 270,000 US dollars. So with that amount, that entitles you to a residency that is, that stays with you for life as long as you still own that property or a property equivalent to $270,000. And then there are various schemes that also allow you to become a permanent resident of Dubai. Now they, in the last 2 months, they've also announced the retirement scheme, which, if you are over 60 years old, have, a liquid assets worth $270,000. It doesn't have to even be a property. You would be entitled to a retirement visa. There are visas that are for professions like doctors, entrepreneurs, and engineers that you get strictly based on your profession. There are longer-term visas that are up to 10 years, a permanent residency if you invest a larger amount of roughly 2.5 million US dollars. And then, these kinds of residency schemes will eventually probably lead to it's a path towards citizenship. However, today there is no law enacted to allow for citizenship in the UAE. However, there is a permanent residency program. There are various residency programs that are already in place, and it depends on whether you want to do it by investing in a property, by retirement, by strictly by your profession. If you are an entrepreneur and have an innovative, amazing idea, and you want to be incubated in Dubai, and the government will sponsor that, will give you and your family a permanent residency in order to fulfill your dreams. And that's what Dubai is about. Dubai is a hub for innovation, for entrepreneurs to thrive. Most of the biggest innovation hubs or innovation and incubation centers are in Dubai. If we work in New York, when they decided to come anywhere in Asia, they guess what? Dubai is the place to be. So there are various elements of permanent residency that are or schemes of permanent residency that are now available to all investors from across the globe.
That's absolutely fantastic. So for less than $300,000, you could invest in Dubai and get residency.
Absolutely, yeah. You get a permanent residency. You become a resident, and in fact, you can also sponsor your family with your residency. So your family members, family members like your wife, your kids, will also become residents as well.
That's absolutely fantastic. Before I move on to my next question, we have a question from Mr. Ali, which says, is the land property rich enough to plant your own garden in your backyard to grow your own organic food?
Well, Dubai is very green, so it's one of the greenest, and because it's a very humid place, and it's by the sea, and it's very tropical. It's very green, and it's very easy to have to grow organic food in Dubai. Some of the best organic food that you only find in Asia, like pak choy, for example, grows in Dubai, and it's, for the life of me, it's even better than the ones I have in China. I go to China quite often, but so the short answer is yes. My garden has apples and mangoes and lime and all kinds of organic fruits. I have a neighbor that has watermelons growing in his garden, so it is ripe for growing basically whatever you'd like to grow in your garden. The weather is good enough. How do they call this? The actual land is decent for organic plants and fruits and vegetables to grow.
That's absolutely fantastic. Abdullah, can you or Fatima, can you take us through a step-by-step process on how investing in driven properties looks like for someone who's eager to invest now?
Fatima, you want to take that? I don't want to talk too much. I think people want to hear different voices.
Okay. Well, investing, firstly, you're investing in the properties. So driven properties, we're a brokerage. So we have the properties with us from various developers. And like I said at the beginning, we are basically doing the homework. So at the beginning, we sit with you, we discuss what kind of basically end goal you have with your investment, whether you want to live in it, whether you want to move, whether you want to rent it out long term, whether you want to visit the property parts of the year. And based on that, we can give you our opinion on what we think would be a good investment for you. Depending on the property you choose, obviously, there's some properties that are off plan, which basically means that there's a time until the property is ready where you would have to essentially wait for the property to be handed over to you. And in that case, those properties are obviously much more, in terms of investment options, are much more lucrative because of the price is much lower than when the property is completed, and B, there's a payment plan involved in most cases whereby instead of the client, let's say if the property is worth $200,000, instead of you paying the $200,000 in one shot, you would then go according to a payment plan, which would be, let's say, 10% to begin with, 10% of the $200,000, and then on a slow payment plan up until the property is ready.
Is it like a mortgage? Is it like having a mortgage?
It is minus the interest rate of the mortgage. So if it's directly from the developer, there would be no interest rate. Whereas if you, obviously mortgages are also there. So for example, some of our clients, they go for a property that's still off plan, they would go for the payment plan, and part of the payment plan, let's say 50% of the payment plan would be after or when they receive their keys. And then that 50%, instead of paying it full, then they would also take that 50% and get a mortgage, where we would help them get a mortgage for that 50% as well. So again, that mortgage could be 15 years, 20 years, depending on your requirements.
That is amazing. I mean, this is a great deal. This is a great deal. I mean, we've got somebody that says, you know, I'm a young guy with low cash income. What advice do I need to start investing?
I mean, we have our property's entry-level price is about $95,000. Okay.
Is that for like a one-bedroom studio or?
A studio.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So for that, again, there's a payment plan that comes with that as well. So the properties, let's say if it's 95,000, you would pay initially 25% of that, and then the remaining would be again on a payment plan up until the completion, which for this particular property is in February. And then the remaining, again, you could get a mortgage, and it's quite, as international investors, you are entitled to up to 50% mortgage facility. And you would be able to get that just by providing your bank statements from back home and something to prove that you live there.
This sounds too good to be true.
Yes. Well, we do a lot of, what's it called? We kind of package the products before we offer them to our investors, especially for our international investors. So although we have the properties that from the developers, we do consult in making sure that it's quite attractive to ensure that for these our investors.
Wow. What are some of the payment plans in place at Driven Properties? Okay,
so we have payment plans. Well, during some of the properties which are off plan, so during the construction periods can be 30, 40, 50% of the property value. And then some of the properties which are even ready, we have properties that are ready with a payment plan of 10 years, for example. So it all depends. We're very, very agile in providing what according to our requirements from the investors. So depending on what exactly you're looking for, what your end goal is, we can kind of match you to the right property for the money that you have.
Someone says, so it's the weather is similar to Accra? No, I think Dubai is hotter, right?
No, now it's nice. So,
when is it really, really, really hot? Is it October or
June, July?
June, July, yeah.
June, July, it's super hot. But the rest of the year, it's so we have about like 8 months of good weather.
Okay.
The rest of the time we have air conditioning.
Perfect. So you know the 250,000 that Abdullah mentioned, is that with the residency that comes with residency? Is that like a one bedroom? Is that a one bedroom flat? And where is that situated? Is that, when we talk about Dubai, Dubai is big.
Yeah.
Whereabouts are these, where are your properties?
So all our properties are within, they have to have a community or like we said, when we're vetting, we make sure that the property is in a community or in a location where it would be lucrative for future capital appreciation. So that's really important to us. So with 250,000, in certain areas, like in Sports City, you could get a 2-bedroom apartment. In other areas, that could be a 1-bedroom. In super high-end, like downtown area, that could be a 1 studio. So it really depends on the area that you're in. But again, each area comes with its own benefits. So for example, in Sports City, there's all the stadiums around it. There's big events that happen around that same area. There's a mall, there's a schools. So all these areas have their own key benefits, and that area, for example, comes with a guaranteed rental income. So the client or you as a buyer would not have to be worried about where is my rent going to come from. It's a guaranteed 8% returns for the next 5 years for that property.
Abdullah, would you suggest people buying to rent rather than buying to live in?
Well, each person has their investment objective, and that's one of the things that we do very well, because we take an institutional approach to doing business, and we think of I see a lot of questions surrounding payment plans. I think of payment plans as an a la carte kind of thing. We can even structure payment plans depending on the consumer's financial needs or requirements. So what we do is we look at similar to what wealth managers and private bankers do. You look at the financial situation, your liabilities, you have a school tuition for your children, you have university tuition for your daughters, and then you have monthly running expenses for your family. You have a mortgage to pay on in Ghana. And then you have this little bit of saving. So what can this little bit of saving do for you? And then on the basis of, and then let's say you have a certain amount that's currently sitting in the bank. So then we look at, okay, how can we structure a payment plan to suit your needs? And then we go and look, okay, what is the project that would cater for that payment plan? Some projects, go up to as little as 1% per month. So if you buy let's say a $95,000 property, you can pay $950 per month, and pay a smaller down payment, and then pay $950 a month, and most of that can come back to you from rent, right? So your rent from these properties will partially finance your installments to the developer. So if we look at, for example, $100,000 property, and you pay, let's say, 30% down, that's $30,000. You have $70,000 to pay for. Let's say you have a 5-year payment plan. During the 5 years, guess what? That's from that 70,000, you probably would have made, on 100,000 on an 8% yield, that's $8,000 a year. So that's $40,000 of the remaining 70 you would have gotten back from rents and paid back to the developer. So what you essentially are paying is the 30 you paid initially, and then the 30 that you will continue to pay minus the rent. So that makes your entry level actually cheaper. So on just the basis of that, there are multiple, a variety of options in order, for you to think about. In terms of what's better for you, there are several options as well. One is renting your property on a long-term basis. So this means, okay, you rent a property you buy a property for $100,000, and then you rent it for $8,000 a year. And that's easy. That's very simple and straightforward, and exactly what you're getting for your property for that particular year. Now, what we do as well as part of the verticals that we where we operate is driven holiday homes, where your property essentially becomes an Airbnb, where you can also use it as a when you come to Dubai and visit Dubai, that's your property. You want to make use of it, right? You want to enjoy it, or if you have guests, you have family, you have friends, you want to invite them into it. that's yours, and you can use it while you're in Dubai. But while you're away, then we can through the partnership with DTSM, the Dubai Department of Tourism, we license your property to become a hotel apartment, and then on the basis of that, we can actually do monthly, daily, and weekly rentals. And in many cases, actually, that is you'll achieve higher rents than long-term rentals. And at the same time, it gives you the flexibility of using it yourself when you're in Dubai, and it increases the liquidity of your apartment. So if you want to sell your apartment one day, it's much easier to sell it when it's kind of vacant, or when you know that the end user can take actual possession of it, rather than, well, I have a long-term tenant, I have to wait for that tenant to leave, and I don't know if he's going to renew or not. So there are a variety of options, and we are here to advise our audience and client base on what suits them, again, based on their needs, based on their requirements, based on their circumstances, and that's our role as an advisor. So, the way we position driven properties is a consultancy. So what we do is, we're not gonna, any developer can go and choke their product down your throat, right? But that's not what we do. What we do is we understand what you want, we understand what you need, and we hold your hand every step of that journey. So at the point of understanding your need, then we locate the right property based on your circumstances, the right yield, the right payment plan, and then after that, we take the journey towards property management, holiday homes, if you need furnishing, if you need a mortgage. All of these services are in-house, and that's where we can add a lot of value. And yeah, so that will give you a bit of a kind of a holistic approach on how we position your choice of living in it or renting it short term. It's going to be circumstantial at best.
Okay, so I know that in the UK, if you have like maybe £100,000, you can't get a good property in London, but you could probably get a really big house in Birmingham or Manchester, So if somebody brings like $95,000 to buy a studio flat in Dubai, am I looking at a prime location in Dubai, or I'm looking at maybe the outskirts of Dubai?
So look, well, you mentioned it right. You won't find £100,000 in London, but you'll have to go to Birmingham or Liverpool, or Manchester. These are different cities. You have to take a 3-hour train ride to get there. In Dubai, Dubai is such a small city. So when we talk about the center, let's call downtown the center, where the Burj Khalifa, the biggest tower in the world, the center of Dubai. Mm-hmm. Yes. So an area like Dubai Sports City or Jumeirah Village Circle, where these projects that are, let's say starting at $95,000 are only 15 minutes away. So, and it's very accessible. So, the outskirts of Dubai, that's another area that's called Dubai Land. And you can even get lower priced properties than that. But when we're talking about this kind of level, you mentioned earlier as well, what can you get for $270,000, right? What you can get for $270,000 is either a studio in Burj Khalifa itself, or a 3-bedroom in an outskirts area, or even a 3-bedroom townhouse in the outskirts or in the suburbs of Dubai. So there is really a range of possibilities, and it's going to ultimately depend on the consumer preference and the consumer choice. If the consumer wants prime and wants growth and doesn't care about yield, then Burj Khalifa is a great option. It's Burj Khalifa. It's the tallest tower in the world, and it's a prime asset. It's a trophy asset. But if you want yield, you want to get that 6, 7, 8% yield. You want a spacious apartment or a townhouse. Then you go a little bit to the outskirts. That doesn't mean it's subprime. That doesn't mean it is going to rent. It is going to sell. There is liquidity in it, but it's a different choice. It's a different dynamic.
Is it still going to be the 6% yield?
So yes, it will be 6%, 7% in the outskirts. You won't get 6% in Burj Khalifa, right? Because for several reasons, it's prime. So when you won't get, you will get maybe a 5% yield in east of Canary Wharf in London, but you won't get that in Mayfair or in Knightsbridge. You'll get 1%. It's in downtown you'll get that 4% yield, call it that, 4 or 4.5. But then as you move to the outskirts, it goes up to 5, 6, 7, 8. But then the outskirts are only 15, 20 minutes away. It's not like London where you have to take a tube, a 30 or 45-minute tube to get to Canary Wharf.
Okay. Safo says, are the properties fully furnished or the client has to do the furnishing?
So there are options. So some developers actually sell furnished properties, and some developers sell unfurnished. So if they sell unfurnished, that's again where we can come in and advise you. So we have packages for studios, we have packages for 1 beds, 2 beds, and they're as low as $5,000 to furnish a small apartment. So it's a small component, and this is furniture that is manufactured in the Scandinavians and brought in here in stores that we can support in kind of procuring.
Okay. Are there any restrictions to property ownership?
None at all. As I mentioned, as long as the property is a freehold property, there are 0 restrictions. If you have a good standing in Dubai, you don't have any God forbid any crimes or criminal record or anything like that, then there are 0 restrictions to purchasing property in Dubai. And the beautiful thing about Dubai is that it's open for business. So if you want to pay in cash, you want to pay in bitcoins, you want to pay in any cryptocurrency, it's all, they're all options that are possible.
Wow, that's interesting. So if I'm purchasing a property for that $95,000 or $200,000, how much money do I have to have in my account? Like, what does my bank statement needs to look like?
So for a mortgage, for a non-resident mortgage, you really they don't even look at your bank account. All they care about is, okay, you're buying a $200,000 property, right? You need, and let's say there is no payment plan on that, you're just getting a mortgage, you're just getting a bank loan. You need $100,000 to put on the property, and the bank will match that with another $100,000. So they don't care what's in your bank account, what you have, what you own, what you don't own. That's none of their business, because you're collateralizing the property against against that mortgage that you're taking. Now, if you're buying a $200,000 property and it's from a developer and you don't want a mortgage, then some developers take as low as 10% down, so $20,000, and then the rest you'll have to pay over 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. So we have several. As I mentioned, there's an a la carte kind of process where we can, based on your circumstances, we look at what projects suit you, and on the basis of that, we can structure it for us. So if you have $200,000 and let's say you want to you only have $50,000 in your account, we'll tell you, okay, if you have $20,000, you can buy this property and you'll get your keys to that property. You can immediately rent it, and then you'll have to spend to pay another $20,000 each year for the next 9 years.
Man, I want to invest right now. I don't know about you guys watching, but I think that this is a great opportunity for investment. I mean, we're young people. We need to be looking at these type of opportunities. Back in the days, our parents and our family members weren't looking at all of this. But now, with the global world, we can have a property that's been rented, either Airbnb or you've got, somebody in your property, and it is yielding money for you. So you're not having to do that hard work that our family members used to do to get money, but you can actually relax, invest your money, and know that you are getting between 4% to 6% yield every single year on that property. It's better than saving it into a bank, because at the end of the day, you are seeing the real results as it comes. Fatima, can you get transportation anywhere when you don't have a car in Dubai?
Yes, the short answer is yes. We have obviously taxis, there's metro lines, trains, there's bus routes, there's huge highways. I mean, I'm originally from Kenya, so traffic is a big problem in Kenya. Here, I can go anywhere in Dubai within 20 minutes with no problem.
There's also water taxis, by the way. That's important to note. So that there are taxis on the water. So because Dubai has a canal that connects it, you can actually go from one area to another using a water taxi. And the metro lines is a very important factor as well. So you have several metro lines that connect the entire city, and a lot of people just move around without cars.
And I might as well add as well that since all the taxis are BMWs or Mercedes, you are very comfortable when you're taking a taxi. It's quite a journey.
Yeah, that's true.
Or limousines, like my brother was sitting in. So people are asking for contact details. I've just shared Fatima's full name and mobile number on here. Fatima, if you don't mind just typing in your email address on the private chat, so I can share your email address as well for those that want to get in contact. Joanna says, so you need to bring 50% for deposit. Is that correct, Abdullah?
This is only if you are going to buy a property in the secondary market. So if you're buying, if you like a property that, I'm coming in, for example, and Fatma has a property and I want to buy Fatma's property, then we're dealing person to person or individual to individual. This way, yes, I need a 50% deposit because the bank will have to finance the other 50%. However, if I am buying from a developer like ourselves or any other developer that we recognize, then no, you will probably need 10% down in order to actually make the first payment, and then even in many cases receive your keys and start renting your property, and then pay the rest over a 5-7 year period, depending on the payment plan that we put together. Some of them even have monthly payments of 1% per month.
Wow, that's really, really good, especially for those young entrepreneurs that have made a little money, and they know that their income is going to be able to pay that 1% that they have to pay per month.
Yeah.
But what are some of the misconceptions that people have about investing in Dubai?
Well, in terms of the city, I don't know honestly in terms of what the people of Ghana think of investing in Dubai. However, Dubai has always stepped its game in developing the legislation and the laws. So recently, obviously, there were situations where some private developers were not credible enough, and that was pre-2010. And if they're not credible enough, they could take funds from private individuals. And then on the basis of these funds, they may not even develop their project. They take the money and run to their own country, right? And that's when they announced the escrow law in 2012, and that's basically no right there, because the developer can't they won't even have access to their own bank account. When they will only get access to that account once as the building goes up, as certain benchmarks happen, as the developer delivers on their promise to the investors and the stakeholders of that project. So as Dubai develops, it's a very young city. As it develops, it created laws that are very investor friendly. And now Dubai is the second safest country in the world, both in terms of safety and security and in terms of investments and foreign direct investment. It's the first in the Middle East in terms of foreign direct investment from Europe and the US, more than Israel, more than any other Middle Eastern country. So that says a lot about the security of investments coming into Dubai. So there are a lot of things that are that may be misconceptions about the Middle East, about being, I think some of the misconceptions are, things like, is it safe to invest in a war zone, and Middle East? And in fact, Dubai is nothing but, is everything but, because it's actually a safe haven of all in the Middle East for I remember the days I was living it when the Arab Spring happened in 2011, I guess, and all of the Syrians, the Iraqis, the Libyans, the Egyptians, they all, where did they run? They have nowhere to run to but this great city, and that's because of the way it's portrayed. That's the way it's it's built and the infrastructure they built, the leadership, it became a safe haven, a tax haven, all kinds of havens over the past few years. And as it develops, the more it develops, the more confidence the international consumer, the international foreign direct investors have faith in investing and putting money in the city.
And somebody's put a question: do you have plans in developing properties in Africa?
Well, we're opportunistic in nature, so we're looking at Ethiopia at the moment, at Addis Ababa as one of the markets that that is somewhat exciting from a macroeconomic perspective. We're looking at Egypt as another market that that we have close ties in, to look at how we can add value to that market and that economy, and we continue to be opportunistic. So certainly South Africa, Ghana, and Nigeria are the obvious countries to look at right now.
Abdullah, if you don't come to Ghana, if you don't come and set this up in Ghana, me and you will have a fight, honestly.
I'd love to. I'd really love to. Oh, yeah, the amount of things I heard about Accra and Ghana is I'm in. Just let's get over this whole COVID situation, and I'm on the first flight out.
No, definitely. And I think for me, I'm excited about myself and Mensah coming to the properties to see some of the properties and actually doing a proper video documentary that we can show to people in Ghana so they can see that actually this is what it looks like. If you have 90,000, we'll go to a 90,000 home and this is what you can get. This is the area. This is the surrounded area. If you have 250,000, this is what you can get. This is the area and this is the return. I think that it's important that we do that to showcase on the opportunities, the real-time opportunities that there is for Ghanaians and Africans to invest in Dubai. And also for, people in Dubai to also look at investing in Ghana. Mensah, what do you think, in terms of how we play, Africa and Dubai play on this relationship that we are trying to create?
I mean, I would say, first of all, our dear CEO, Mr. Abdullah, has also put a lot of investment into one of the key factors that are also something that Ghana will benefit from. And that is that he has a whole incubator for young developing real estate agents and people within that industry. And while I was there in Dubai, I was actually had the privilege to experience one of these incubators when they were in full action. And this is also one of the things, because immediately I said to him, one of the things that Ghana is very pro on, and especially with the government, is to enhance opportunities for learning from outside, and we also, a lot of times we send out people to US, UK, etc. to gain knowledge and added experience to be able to benefit back home. And this is one of the things that I saw, apart from the choice and opportunities between Dubai and Ghana, but also within that sector, there's a lot of strong opportunities that has not maybe yet been explored, where they have such a strong building expertise, where they can build fast, build with incredible quality, which is something that we will be able to benefit from. And at the same time, I saw that while I was in Dubai, I noticed, because I was always wearing my traditional clothes back home, my up and down and so on, and people were very interested. And as soon as you said you're from Ghana, they're like, "Oh, did you bring some extra shea butter?" No, I mean, unfortunately, I didn't bring a whole suitcase with shea butter. But there's a lot of opportunities between the two countries that are yet to be really explored. So there's also a lot of opportunities for people who have businesses here in Ghana to be able to set up in Dubai, but also with people that has fantastic pieces of areas of land that could be explored by some of these developers from Dubai. So with what we're starting now between Driven and Guba is something that really would have massive effect if we're doing it in the way that we spoke about. For example, it doesn't only stop with development through properties and investment, but also gears into tourism as well.
Fantastic. And somebody's asked, you know, is investing in Dubai stress-free? Because we go for
only when you invest it with driven properties, then it becomes stress-free. Yeah, we take care of all the hassle.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But how long, Fatima, how long does the actual process take from wanting to invest to actually, you know, finalizing everything?
Well, it can take 1 hour. No, I'm serious. We've from the time you come here and after you've chosen the property and you've narrowed down on exactly what you want to do, it can take 1 hour from putting in the deposit, doing the transaction. It's Dubai is very the idea, even doing business, even if you're opening your own company here, trade, the idea is always has the set up in such a way that everything has to be as hassle-free as possible, and real estate is no different. So you can put in a deposit and do your transaction in an hour. If it's a secondary market property, you can literally, after you've done the contracts and everything, you can go to the land department office and the property can be transferred in your name within an hour and a half. So it's quite hassle-free. Yes. There's no yes.
I did a transfer on last Wednesday, that took 5 minutes. You know, and I think that's an exaggeration. I think it was more like 4 minutes. You know, it's literally that easy. And now the trustee offices actually come to your office if you have clients and you know, and you want to transfer. They come to you and literally, okay, here is the document. You sign here, bam. Your title deed, will send it to you within the next 30 minutes, and then the trustee office is out of your office. But then the process itself takes very, very short period of time. It only takes an hour if you have to wait, or an hour and a half if you have to wait for your turn. The actual process itself is very easy. They also have a new service now where you pay an equivalent of $100 effectively, and the trustee office will come to your house or your office or wherever you are to complete a transfer. And you know, that takes you then 5 minutes because you don't have to wait in line for your turn.
I'm absolutely blown away. Matthew, are you hearing this?
Yes. I mean, but I experienced it while I was there, and that's why as well when I said to Fatma, because when I was at the office and I had a meeting as well with the CEO. So while I was waiting, there were some people that came in to buy an apartment, and one of them was a gentleman from Nigeria, and there was a couple from Ghana, and I asked them, oh, so. Because when I said to them, oh, I'm also from Ghana, they're like, really? I mean, because they thought I was from there, obviously, because I'm so light. And I said, so is this your first property? And they're like, yeah, it's the first one they're buying now, but they were looking to buy a second one that they have seen when they were actually about to travel out of Dubai. So I was like, oh, my goodness, okay, I need to get back to DENTAA and Ghana and see what we can actually do. So I actually was there at the head office in Dubai.
Wow. And I think one of the things that we might have to do once this COVID is over is actually do a property trade mission to Dubai with business people that are really interested. So if you're not keen or you don't have the money, then, you know, stay in Ghana. But if you're very serious about, you know, investing and making money, you know, for me, it's not about being rich, it's about being wealthy. And so if you're interested about being wealthy, then this is the opportunity for you to come with us to Dubai to have a property tour. And hopefully by the end of that, if it takes an hour and a half to get a property, which is even quicker than the UK. Somebody has said, you know, what is the level of discrimination, gender bias, color bias in Dubai?
This is a fantastic question, and I'm glad it was asked, because I forgot to mention, you know, that Dubai has the highest expat population in the world. So 90% of the people of Dubai are actually expats. They're not the local population. So it is home of hundreds of nationalities and hundreds of languages. You know, you see everyone in Dubai living in harmony because of what it is, because it's such a metropolitan city. It welcomes all religions. It welcomes all sects of economies. In fact, only recently, about 2 months ago, Dubai has signed a treaty with Israel to be the first Middle Eastern country with Israel with relationships and diplomatic missions in each country. You know, that just tells you how tolerant the UAE and its leaders and its government to not only genders and religions, but also nationalities and countries, despite any political conflict or any you know, it really prides itself by, you know, in being one of the most diplomatic countries and leaderships in the world, and that, you know, you know that they're friends with the likes of Iran and Israel and Saudi Arabia. They're all friends, and they're some of the biggest traders of these countries that are, you know, notorious for conflict in the Middle East. And they all trade in Dubai, through Dubai, with Dubai, because of what it is. So very, very harmonious and very, very. It's in fact, that's what Dubai prides itself with. It's how metropolitan it is, how you know, agile it is, and how tolerant it is to all kinds of genders and nationalities. Women can do everything. In fact, you know, our company has more women than men. It has more women in leadership positions than men. You know, some of the ministers of the UAE are women. You know, and so it's really a something that is difficult to find, not only in Middle Eastern countries only, but also globally. You know, how many countries can you count in your finger that has, you know, more than 30 or 40% of its government formed of women? You know, it's and that's something that this country prides itself with.
Sharon says, what if I want to come to Dubai for investment?
Well, it's very simple. Look, I mean, I'm honestly not privy to any restrictions of travel from Ghana to Dubai. I know Dubai is welcoming everybody from everywhere, and that's why it's great, and that's why it's you know, it's dealt with it in a very different way. FATMA can go through the program of how any investor can come into Dubai for the purposes of investment. I'll let her talk about this a little bit more, as well as the next question I see, which is what's the minimum amount required?
Yeah.
Okay. So in order for you to come over to Dubai, we have a fly-in program for our clients, which is just a minimal amount. And that pays for your ticket and your 3-night stay. And the idea is to get you here and to get you showcasing, to get us to showcase the properties, to see it for yourself, rather than just taking our word for it, so to say. So,
how much is that, please? How much is that?
$1,400, which includes ticket. It includes 3-night stay in a 5-star hotel.
Yeah, so economy flight.
Yeah, and we pick you up from the airport. We take you to the hotel. We have 1 day of just a tour of Dubai, and then the second day would be business, where we show you the properties, we show you the projects. You get to pick the unit, and then finally, if you decide to buy a property, then whatever you've paid towards your fly-in would be deducted from the property price or refunded to you in full. So effectively, that would be a free trip after you bought the property.
Wow. And what is the minimum amount required? So what's your minimum amount in terms of properties that you have on your list?
Minimum property value, right?
Yeah, value, yeah.
The total value is 95,000. The minimum deposit would be around, I think, $5,000 to $10,000, depending on the property.
Okay. Okay. And so then,
so basically, you could be on your way to own a property with as little as $5,000 to $10,000 in Dubai, and then you just have a payment plan.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So you could have a payment plan with driven properties, right? without getting interest rate if you do mortgage, correct?
Yes, we have developers that we undersign. We have the projects that we're working closely with, and through those properties, you can get a payment plan interest-free. So the payment plan would be according to the property value, and that would be just on a payment structure set out by the developer.
Okay, so guys, you could own a property in Dubai if you have $5,000 to $10,000 basically in your pocket. You can own a property. Somebody's written, does Driven Properties have properties in Abu Dhabi too?
Well, it's funny you ask, because next month we are going to announce our. We haven't done any press to that effect, but next month in December we're going to announce our venture into Abu Dhabi. So we will access the Abu Dhabi market in 2021, and we will have offerings then. At the moment, we're still not in Abu Dhabi, but we have plans to actually open an office as early as next month.
Wow, that's amazing. And Fatima, you were about to say something.
No, I was just asking what was the question.
Oh, okay. What is the percentage of capital gain tax in Dubai?
That's a very good question. 0. And so there's 0 income tax, 0 capital gains tax.
Nee, did you hear this? I hope we've answered your question and you're interested in coming over with us to Dubai. Again, somebody asked again, what's the percentage for tax? So it's
0%, income tax, 0% rental tax, 0% capital gains tax, and 0% inheritance tax. Basically, there is no tax in Dubai. So that's one of the things. It is a tax haven. I mean, that's what Dubai is famous for. Not only is it cheap, not just by the sheer. Some people say cheap because it's $95,000. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that you can buy a square foot or a square meter in Dubai for literally a fraction of what you would do in London and Singapore and Hong Kong and Paris. I'm pretty sure in Accra as well, and because it is one of the most affordable markets in the world. So if you're looking to buy 100 square meters, and if you have, let's rephrase it. If you have $1 million invested, I bet you'll get a lot more square meters in Dubai than almost anywhere else in the world. And that's the beauty of it. You can still buy a £100,000 property in London, but it's not going to be it's probably going to be 10 square feet. You'll probably it'll become a shoe rack for you more than anything else. But if you want to with $100,000 in Dubai, there's a lot that you can do. There is a lot of options. So that's where the value is. It's not the sheer value, but it's the value for money and the valuation per property is what's at of value.
Fantastic. Guys, if you are watching, make sure that you are sharing your pages. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure that you share it on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn so that we can make sure that everybody is enjoying this conversation. If you're watching on Facebook, click the share button, do a watch party with friends and family. Now's the time for us to really be discussing opportunities that we have outside of our borders, and it's really, really lucrative. And the best place to start off with is with Driven Properties. They are based in Dubai. They have properties that are ready to purchase. So somebody who Hassan has just put, are most of the properties ready for purchase, or are they going to be built?
There's both. So some of them are ready. You can literally pay your down payment and get your keys immediately. As you pay as little as 5 or 10%, you get your keys. Some of them are under construction. We normally don't we don't engage in properties that are on the ground. So we ensure that the project is at least 50% up before we underwrite any project. But the vast majority of our projects are at least 80 or 90% completed, and many of them are already completed, and the remaining inventory is being sold on a payment plan.
Okay, fantastic. I can see that questions are coming in thick and fast. Yes, this is the time that if you want to ask your questions to Abdullah, to Matthew, to Fatima, this is the time. So please let me have your questions and make sure that you are sharing your pages. So Gali says, apart from a building properties investment, do you also deal in car properties investment?
No, we are properties only. I don't understand when you say car properties.
Car properties. I think maybe car investments. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't do cars. Aside from some of our leadership team that love cars and have a passion for cars. That's not me. I don't like cars, but we don't do car investments or car dealership or anything like that. We don't understand it. We understand property really, really well. So if you want to put your bet on a company that will guide you through any and navigate with you, that's us. But when it comes to cars, I can put you in touch with some of my colleagues that know about cars, and they'll advise you on that. But that's as much as we can do.
Fantastic. Anise says, great answer in terms of the zero tax.
Yeah.
How easy is it to move your money out of Dubai as an investor?
Dubai has built the best, I would say, banking and financial institution infrastructure in the world. It's extremely easy to move money out of Dubai, through banks. No one ever had any problems moving money out of Dubai, and that's a fact that you can look up and understand even from your own bankers and your own circle from the financial industry. The reason it is a financial hub and it's a tax haven is exactly because of that. It's exactly because it's easy the flow of money is very convenient and easy in and out. There are gray markets, of course, as well. So even if you want to trade cryptocurrencies, if you can't do a physical transfer, there are gray markets that can allow you to transfer money in and out of these countries. With Dubai, there is the Hawala system as well, that is very common here. Which again, if you have an amount in Nigeria, that's a common thing. Nigeria and China, there are capital controls there. There are gray markets that allow you to actually pay the capital in these respective countries, and then counterparts in Dubai that will give you the equivalent of that amount in the local currency or in US dollars. So it's very, very easy. The flow of money is very, very easy and one of the most advanced in the world.
Okay.
Think of it as the Switzerland of the Middle East and Asia.
Fabulous. Hope says, how is the market for property rentals after paying the $5,000 or $10,000? Can I rent the property to pay for the mortgage?
Yeah, absolutely. So $10,000 or $5,000, that would be your first down payment. And let's say if some of the properties you pay literally that much to actually receive the keys. You start paying monthly after that, and then as you rent your property, you receive some income that will offset some of your monthly payments. Maybe not entirely, but there will be an offset effect. And again, that's our duty to kind of educate you, tell you, walk with you, and ensure you understand the process and how you can benefit from that financially, and how much you can keep in mind as savings for the next, let's say, 5 or 7 years, that will tell you, okay, well, we know that you're going to rent this for $1,000 a month. We know that your monthly payments are let's say $1,800 a month, so you need to have $800 every month as a minimum to ensure that your payments are serviced. So we'll advise on the basis of that.
Okay, so I think you've kind of covered it for this question as well. For a typical 1-bedroom flat, what are the management charges?
So yeah, the monthly cash flow, yeah, I guess we covered. So it really depends on where and the price of that property. and the payment plan as well. And on the basis of that, we can look at what's the cash flow that you need. In terms of management charges, it differs. So if we're renting the apartment on a long-term basis, it's normally 5% of the rental amount. So let's say we're renting a property for $100,000 a year, then we charge $5,000 a year for that, for the management of this property. When we're talking about holiday homes, because that's an operation that's more of a hospitality operation, and it entails a lot more in terms of cleaning daily and booking and all of that, concierge. Then that's 20% of there's a 20-80 split in favor of the landlord or the owner. So the owner keeps 80% of the revenue. The operator or the holiday home company gets 20% of that revenue if it's managed on a short-term basis.
Okay, you mentioned about touching on the holiday home. How easy is it to get it under the tourism board? You mentioned that it has to go under the tourism hospitality.
Yeah. So as Driven Holiday Homes, we are the largest holiday homes company in Dubai. So we have a very open and strong relationship with the DTCM, the Dubai Tourism and Commerce Marketing Department. On the basis of that, we're able to get licenses per apartment in 1 day, and in less than 1 day. So it is very easy. It is a very simple process that we're very used to. There are certain towers or localities that don't allow holiday homes, because they are very secure, or because they are hotel apartments in themselves, and there is an operator inside. So, for example, if we're buying in the address, an apartment in the address hotel, the address is already managing apartments there. So the address won't allow a competitor like Driven Holiday Homes manage these properties. So the landlord will have to manage these properties with the hotel owner. So with the unit owner. So the unit owners will have to manage it with the hotel itself. So there are various, for a residential property, there are no restrictions whatsoever. Anyone can get a license for their property. For some of the hotel apartments, there are restrictions, but the restrictions doesn't mean that you can't rent it on a short-term basis. It just means that you will have to use the hotel to rent it for you. There is a little bit of a conflict in that, I must say, and that's why we try to stay objective here, and that the hotel will normally prioritize their stock and their inventory to the owner's inventory, just for commercial reasons.
Yeah, no, obviously, yeah. That makes sense. Let me see if there's any other questions. Do you have commercial properties too?
Yes, so we deal and we have a commercial department that does offices, retail, and industrial properties as well. We're talking warehouses and staff accommodation as well. So commercial is, we manage over 2,000 office units in Dubai. Some of them are in prime office buildings across the city. We have retail in almost every building that we manage. And then we have industrial warehouses. Warehouses becoming a big thing now because, again, Dubai is becoming an innovation hub and a commerce hub, an e-commerce hub. So the Amazon actually is set up in Dubai, the Middle Eastern practice, and they're buying any warehouse they put their hands on because of the way they're growing, as well as so many other e-commerce players that are in the market, and they need that storage space, and so the warehouse space is growing and the logistics space is growing on the commercial side. But yeah, we deal across the commercial spectrum.
Fantastic. Let's see. Who are some of your clients that you have worked with over the years?
Who are some of our clients? I'm going to count
that you've worked with,
Okay, so some of the let's say, are we talking nationalities or people?
any, just to kind of give people a scope of, you know, how good driven properties are and the type of people that
Okay, so we advised the likes of Karim Benzema, a football player of Real Madrid, and he's a client. He's a very close client. Koulibaly, you know, we've advised him, and we, you know, he now lives in a very nice, or he has a very nice villa in Dubai Hills. We have Ali Sissoko as well as a very you know, important client of ours. We deal with a lot of football players. You mentioned Samoa Gyan, who is a legend of football, and we've had interactions with him as well. Yeah, I mean, we've you know, in terms of we're currently advising the son of the ex-Prime Minister of Lebanon, who's now relocating into Dubai on the purchase of his property. So it's really across the board when it comes to private individuals or you know, or institutions. A lot of our clients are institutional, so we deal with most of the banks, our clients, the real estate investment trusts, our clients. You know, some of the government institutions are also clients. We have the biggest, you know, kind of hypermarket is a client of ours. We help them source the storage space as well as accommodation for their staff very recently. So our business is very diversified, and in terms of client base, they're across the board. Our biggest market is China at the moment, followed by Saudi Arabia and Russia. And then Europe, France, Switzerland, and Germany. And you know, we see the value in the African market, and that's why we're now exploiting that market in a bigger way, because the macro economies are thriving, and the wealth gap is kind of shrinking, and because now there's a much larger middle class, especially in places like Ghana, and that's something that we're very excited about.
Fantastic. Efia says she just hopped on. I know usually my show does start around 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, but because of the Dubai time, we had to start a bit earlier. So apologies for those who are just hopping on at the moment, but you will find all of the information on the show. Once, you know, we finish, you can go back and watch it again. But typically with driven properties, you can come in with $95,000 and walk away with a home. And guess what, guys? You can get it done in minutes. You know, currently in Accra, it can take between 1 month to 3 months to, you know, get your mortgage sorted out if you were to buy a property in Ghana. But in Dubai, they're saying that maximum 1.5 hours, you can walk away with a property if you have all your documents ready, which is your passport, your bank statement. You're basically good to go. And if you have a deposit of just $10,000 to $5,000, you're good to go. Matthew, I saw that you had your hand up.
Yeah. No, I think Mr. Abdullah is a bit he's very discreet and humble, because one thing that I know, because I was asking the same questions that some of the people that have been watching us asking regarding if you were going to buy a place that needed furniture. And one of the things as well that I think that also talks to Driven is that they are actually, the interior department are actually also helping with the interior for the royal family, for different royal families.
Wow.
So I think that, you know, you are in very good hands if you're going to get furniture, if they can do it for the royal family. I mean, that's what I was saying as well when I was there. If you do it for the royal family, I think you can do it for me as well. So yes, that's
we respect you know, their privacy from time to time, so we don't like to talk about it. But since you've mentioned it, yes, we advise, and we in fact are represent as power of attorneys many of the royals in Saudi Arabia. And in the UAE, so and we manage a lot of their properties, not only, you know, on the interior space. We did a lot of their interiors, but also managing their buildings and their assets in Dubai is something that we do regularly.
Fantastic. Linda Entry. So Effie, I hope I've answered your question. So with 95,000, you get it like a studio flat, right? With 95,000, how much is a 1-bedroom?
In the same about $130,000.
Okay. All right. And then what about if I want a beachfront?
Yes, you pay more.
What would I be looking at for a beach?
Reach out deeper to your pocket than.
Yes.
No, so what would I be looking at?
I think we have a community that's like Miami style, so you can you feel very much like you're in Miami. It's waterfront, so beautiful views, and they can start anything between 300 all the way to $2 million, depending on the property that you choose.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say $350,000 gets you a nice one bedroom and a seafront community and beachfront community.
Fantastic.
And yeah, obviously the more you go, the more beachy it gets.
I like that.
But there is so many different, and that's one of the great things about Dubai. Because even if you don't have water view, there's so much beautiful to see. I mean, for example, I was staying in another property in the Versace building, and it is just amazing, you know. And it has like Rolls Royce standing outside. That's part of the feature. Unfortunately, I didn't get the keys to drive around in that one, but it is such a beautiful building, and that is without the water, but just to have such a beautiful sky-scraping views, you know. So anything around Dubai will offer its own niche and its own attraction.
Fantastic. Linda Aintree says, "Hi dear, I am British and working here in the UK. I want to buy a property out there. What is the procedure?" I think we've gone over the procedure. Fatima's gone over the procedure quite a few times, but it's a very easy procedure. You just have to have your documents, have to have investment at least 95,000. The property starts from $95,000. And all you need is 5% or 10% of that as a deposit.
Yeah, 5%.
Yeah, and you're literally good to go. So if you are interested, I'm going to share Fatima's email address again for you to contact her. Make sure that you do mention the DENTAA Show as well when you do send your email. But I'm sure she'll know that it's coming from this show if you send the email today. And then it's like the stock market. Hi, it's like a stock market. Don't know what he's trying to say.
Is it like
the stock market?
Yeah, is it like a stock market?
So it's not as it is in many ways like a stock market, because it's a market. You know, you can buy property, it'll go over time. You know, all properties grow in value, but there is that volatility. But the one thing that it's not like the stock market, that it's not as liquid as the stock market. So if you buy something today, if you're in the stock market, you can sell it tomorrow in the same day instantly. But with properties, when you put in the market, it will the lead time to sell it in Dubai is anywhere between 3 and 5 weeks to stay on the market until you actually liquidate it and get the price that you want or that you desire. Of course, you can sell your property within 2 minutes if you burn the price, and if you make it a huge opportunity for the other side. But if you wanted to sell at the prevailing market value, then it takes anywhere between 3 and 5 weeks to sell.
Okay, that's good. All right, so we've had 1.5 hours of great insight. I am so excited about Dubai. I'm so excited about the investment opportunities there. And I'm sure my audience, as you've seen, are very interested in terms of the type of questions that they are coming out with. I don't know whether, Fatima, you have your last, words of advice for people that are really interested in coming to Dubai, maybe your last words for them.
Well, thank you, DENTAA, for hosting us. It's been amazing, very insightful. I mean, if you get in touch, we can start talking. As we said before, we're more of consultants, so we can start the conversations and get you what you're looking for in terms of your investment. It doesn't have to be something specific. We can ask the questions again. I can go through the requirements here with you personally and give you more insights as well on a personal level. So like we said, we're consultants first and advisors. as well.
Okay. And how easy actually? So if I'm wanting to move my family to Dubai, how easy is it to get jobs in Dubai as well?
Well, it depends your profession and your qualifications. Obviously, you can come out here. You can come out with a tourist visa, which would be, I think, it's 3 months, and that would be an opportunity to kind of
Survey around, look for something.
Yes, and do some interviews.
Okay. Abdullah, anything to say?
Well, thank you so much, DENTAA, for arranging this. It's always a great pleasure to be in your show, and this has enlightened. I hope this has enlightened some viewers and audiences about investment in Dubai, and I hope we can get an opportunity to interact more often with the audience, and as much as we can add value, we will. Fatma said it or articulated it in the best way, in that we are your advisors, your consultants. We'll hold your hands every step of the way. We'll make sure you make the right choice based on your circumstances. And I'm glad I heard the views and the questions of the audience. I do look forward to visiting you in Ghana. It's on my to-do for sure, 100%. So I look forward to that, and prepare the invite for January, February, and I'm hopping in on that first flight. I'm just waiting for that time we can actually say goodbye Corona and move on. Vaccine is in, and move forward. So yeah, I'd really love to do that, and maybe interact with some of your audiences in person, and kind of take it from there.
Thank you so much. And Mensah,
Yes, ma'am.
your last words to viewers, and encouraging people that are looking to invest in Dubai.
As someone that's been there myself, quite a few times, but as of the last year, I had the opportunity to be hosted by Driven. It was 5 absolutely fantastic days. I really, really loved it, and that's why I was nodding to a lot of the things that was raised as questions, but also as answers, because it is a place. I mean, for me, as you mentioned before, I'm between here and South Africa. And South Africa, you also have a huge mix of people, but what I felt in Dubai was that there was such a strong harmony. I didn't pay attention to that I was half Ghanaian, half Danish. I mean, you're just there. There's so many different nationalities, so it didn't matter who you were, how you looked like. And as Fatma was saying as well, and Mr. Abdullah was that there is such a big mix that you would not feel as a foreigner, because it's a majority of people there are all foreigners. So you become part of the majority that's there. And finally, I would like to say that there is a lot of opportunities, not apart from the investment, but just as well as a place that is just so fantastic. It has so much to offer, just like Ghana. And for me, speaking from a tourism setting, there is a huge gap between Ghana and Dubai, which I think also can be explored as we go forward with these different opportunities. The more people that comes both ways and see what is there and actually buy properties, you have more people start traveling as well to the different countries. So I would say as an end, with Driven Properties, you are really in good hands, fantastic good hands. And of course, the journey starts from this side here in Ghana, where we are, and it starts with Uber. So anyone from Ghana, that with our dear DENTAA, you will never be disappointed. So yes, it's a good journey.
Thank you so much, Matthew. Fatima, I'll just get you to answer Afia's question. Buying an apartment block is freehold? Is it freehold to buy an apartment?
Yes, it's freehold. So each apartment comes with its own title deed. I think that's where she's confused about. Each apartment comes with its own title deed. It's 100% freehold and inheritable.
Okay, fantastic. And then she says, my concern is buying are the high management costs that may increase at high rates per annum?
No, we've had the same management cost, 5% for leasing, 5% of the rental income. So that would effectively mean once you rent your property, that's when we would get paid to manage the property for you.
Okay. I hope that we've answered your question, but don't forget that if I haven't answered your question or that you have a particular question to ask Fatima, this is her email address that you can, follow up with this conversation. If you're interested in the property, we will be doing another show where we will be taking people to Dubai who are interested in investing in the properties sometime probably next year. Once we go and visit, and we'll definitely do an investment tour next year, and then do another one for Abdullah to come to Ghana, and he'll also do an investment tour in Ghana to see how things work here as well, and hopefully get a real estate that they can partner with, that they both can, share information and sell properties both ways. So guys, thank you so much for joining me on the show. Fatima, Matthew, Abdullah, I can't wait to see you all very soon. I know that this show has gone a long way to educate people about property investment, residency as well. If you have money over 250,000 that you want to invest in property, you can get residency in Dubai as well. So thank you so much, Fatima. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Abdullah, for joining me on today's show. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you for all your comments, guys. Yes, I agree with you. Very interesting, very educative. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to go on the trip. Yes, make sure that you email us. I'm also going to be sending, obviously, the DENTAA Show email address as well. It's DENTAA show@gmail.com. You can email us if you're interested in this investment tour, which I'm very, very excited about. You will see it. Sometimes seeing is believing, right? And so when you see it and you have the money in your, in your account and you're ready to do it, they take Bitcoin, they take cash, they take your Visa card, everything goes. As long as it's legit, they take that money. So guys, thank you so much for watching the show. Oh, someone's watching us from Massachusetts. Nice to see you, Albert. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you all. Again, thank you to World Remit for sponsoring the show. You can be part of the 5.7 million people that are sending money back home each and every day. So make sure you join the World Remit train. And also to, what's it called? Cassie's Classics Hashito. Oh my God, guys, if you haven't already bought one, make sure that you do. Again, it's today is Sunday. It's Asamoah Jan's birthday. So happy birthday to Asamoah Jan. Happy birthday to all of the Gooba team members that has been, Sabrina had her birthday yesterday. Aisha's having a birthday today. It's a November birthday month, right? Khadija, how are you, Han? Hope you're well. Beatrice, thank you all for watching the show tonight. I will see you next week. I heard that Kotoko, we drew the match. Oh my goodness, I was hoping that we would win it today, but never mind. It's fine. We didn't lose. That's the main thing, right? We drew. So guys, thank you so much for watching the show. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.